Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood-Austin. Welcome back. Thank you for being here today.
I'm pleased to be a part of this program this week, Londa, because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
I can't wait to get into all of it.
I'm super stoked. The economy's doing some crazy stuff. That's fun to watch. Interest rates are going up and down and up and down and up and down. That's interesting to watch. And we've taken some time off, which we never, ever do.
Taking time off is, I worked every day.
That's true. That's exactly right. We took time off while having our phones on and answering our phones everywhere we went.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about who this episode is for today. This episode is for anyone who wants to build a life with some freedom. Okay. So that's one thing I want to talk about today. Another thing that you're going to learn from today's episode is a little bit more about what's going on with the economy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then one more thing that our listeners are going to take away from today's episode is kind of how do I want to put this? A take on some parenting styles that I've noticed.
Okay.
My take on them.
So this is going to be a multifaceted program. There's going to be
always,
a little bit about the market as we know it, the stock market going up and down, up and down, up and down, interest rates going up and down, up and down, up and down, real estate. We're going to talk a little bit about that stuff. We are going to have a restaurant review nobody asked for as part of this program. And then we're going to talk about lifestyle stuff and parenting styles. Is that what I'm to take away from this introduction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think this is going to be especially good for somebody who feels a little bit helpless because of what's going on in the economy. Okay. A little bit helpless because of what's going on with their kids or grandkids. Right. And a little bit helpless like life's happening to me instead of I'm in charge of my life. So if you are one of those people, for anyone listening who feels a little bit of any of those things I just said, stick around. We're going to get to all of it.
Okay. I like it. Let's jump right in.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. You tell me.
Oh.
You're the smartest one in this dynamic, so I kind of want you to drive the bus here.
I disagree. But let's go. Since it's at the forefront of a lot of people's minds, let's hit the economy.
Okay. All right. We've seen some wild swings in the stock market.
Dude, shit's crazy out there.
Yeah. We've seen some wild swings in the stock market. We've seen some wild swings in the bond market. We've seen interest rates go from about 5.99 to 6.5 over the course of 3 days.
What is going on? We had tariffs. Now we don't have tariffs. I mean, what is going on?
And the tariff talk is in every newscast. I wonder what else is going on is my question.
Here's what it seems to me. The whole tariff thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, if you listen to this show, you know I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like the average person who doesn't really understand what's going on, and I look to you to make it make sense to me because you're super into that. You study it, you watch it, you listen to it. Was
a political reporter for years and years and years of my career.
What it looks like to me is that I hate when words escape me, and you'll have to forgive me. This is one of the about 100 symptoms of menopause. You forget words that you absolutely know. Administration, there it is. It seems like the administration made some moves to help make the rich richer.
Well,
that's how it feels to me. I'm just saying, and I didn't hear that from anybody. I didn't see it reported. I didn't see a TikTok on it. I didn't read it in the New York Times. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking,
well, with the stock market going down the way it did over 3 days, 10%, a lot of the rich got less rich.
But plummet, buy low, right? And now, when things rally, do you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, it just seems like dirty pool.
What I can tell you is people who follow Warren Buffett's stock purchase style and the techniques that he talks about in his books, those people have made money over the last week. A lot of people, though, aren't as well diversified and like have knee-jerk reactions to movements in the stock market, and those people lost a lot of money last week.
Sure.
So
I'm just like the very well.
I don't think the administration cares one bit over making rich people richer.
So what was the tariff thing really for then? Well, that's my question. Like, I get that it's to make... Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to tell you what the Trump administration is talking about when they're talking about tariffs. The Trump administration's belief is that tariffs are a beautiful, this is a quote, a beautiful way to get other countries to negotiate with our country.
Okay.
That's the plan. If we impose tariffs on other countries, they will need to come to us to negotiate
that I understand.
Their way out of or into these tariffs.
I totally get it. I get
that's what they're saying.
That kind of negotiating. Okay, but then why the halt on the tariffs then?
Well,
do we mean it or not? I don't get it.
Well, what they're saying, this is not what I'm saying.
They being who? The
Trump administration. Okay. What they're saying is they're allowing, with like 75 countries having reached out, which they're not being specific about which countries have reached out, but they're saying over 75 countries have reached out to negotiate these tariffs, and so they've put a hold on them while they continue their negotiations. What they're saying is this is the way they hope to achieve these negotiations with these other countries. And there was also a story that circulated last Friday about how, oh, by the way, we're putting a freeze on high-tech stuff like TVs and smartphones and semiconductors that come from Asian countries. They're not going to be impacted right away. Well, Donald Trump says that's not necessarily true. And depending on what time of the day you get a report, any given day, the news cycle changes wildly over the course of a day, right? So the answer is Donald Trump says he wants to get a level playing field with the United States on manufacturing and have reciprocal tariffs on countries that charge us high tariffs already. So that's what he's saying. What he's doing, I think, this is my opinion now, is he's pushing us into a recession. I think he's trying.
Are we already there?
Well, we were already there 2 years ago. And
feels like we're there.
And the administration said, no recession.
The previous.
It's not happening.
Right.
No way. It's not a recession. Had what normally is the indicator of a recession, had the people that are in charge said, yep, we're in a recession, what would have happened then is the economy would have kind of reset itself. There would have been some layoffs. Layoffs follow the beginning of a recession.
Okay, so, but let's get current here.
Well, but let me tell you what would have happened then. Interest rates would have gone down then. They didn't. They kept going up because they said, no, we're not in a recession. It's better than it's ever been. These are not the droids you're looking for. Well, I don't think Donald Trump is doing that. I think he's trying to push us into a recession because interest rates go down and home values go up, and that helps the economy kind of reset. And he ran on lowering interest rates. I think that's what he's trying to do. That's my opinion. I have not talked to him. I do not have a source inside the administration at all. I think, though, looking at the data, it looks like he's trying to make the markets do weird stuff so that they will correct themselves. And that's why you announce one day tariffs. The next day you say, no, we're going to put it on pause. And let me tell you, during that whiplash up and down starting last week, with the tariff announcement, and then they start, and then they are paused, and then back and forth. We've seen huge swings in the stock market, up and down. And we will continue to see that until the world gets a handle on what exactly he's trying to do. Nobody knows what he's trying to do.
Do you think he knows what he's trying to do?
I do think he knows what he's trying to do. I do. I think that. I don't know if he's right, but I think he has a plan. I believe he has a plan.
So what does it mean for us, average consumer? Maybe, for our listeners, maybe you have a 401k, maybe you don't. maybe you're paycheck to paycheck, which a lot of Americans are. Sure. What does it mean, when you boil it down?
Well, here's the thing.
Tell us what it means, and then help us see a
very
silver lining.
small percentage of people are active in the stock market. Very small percentage of people.
Okay.
Most people do have a 401k or a Roth IRA. And those people, many of them, are not daily buying and selling stocks and commodities. People who are day traders have the opportunity to make a lot of money when the market swings wildly.
Okay, so I'm not talking about them.
So for the rest of the people, if you're not retiring in 6 months, don't look at your 401k. Everything's fine. The market dropped 10% and came rallying right back.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you're a long-term person with money in a retirement account, what happened
You're
last
planning
week
to leave it there anyway.
wasn't
so
that huge of a deal.
You'll see through the volatility.
That's exactly right. Yes. Somebody who's planning to liquidate or retire right now may be having different feelings.
I gotcha.
But generally speaking, Main Street cares much more about the price of eggs and gasoline and Nintendo Switches and televisions and smartphones than they do what's happening on the stock market.
And if you want to know a little bit more about that specifically, what you just mentioned, listen to last week's podcast on how will we survive this.
That's exactly
Go
right.
find that one, listen to it, because we dive into that a little bit more on that podcast.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think we're going to be okay.
We are absolutely going to be okay, and our business is going to be okay. And what I mean by that is we're predominantly in the mortgage and home buying and selling business.
Right.
So that business will be okay because when you're involved in real estate and mortgage, your marketplace has more to do with anything than national trends.
Right. Your local
If you have
economy.
a good job, good healthy job market in your area, you will have healthy real estate in your area.
That's true.
If you have a depressed job market in your area, real estate is a little depressed. So it really does depend on where you are and what your main source of income in your community are to show where the market's going to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You always make it make sense, and
so
that's what's
Tri-Cities,
helpful
Washington,
to me.
We saw a report a couple months ago that was one of the top 5 real estate markets in the nation. I don't remember when that was, but we saw that a few months ago.
Yeah.
And that continues to be true.
Yeah.
People are buying and selling houses in our local market.
Although first quarter of the year was a little groggy.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, it was a little groggy. Now it's waking up.
I thought the first quarter was pretty okay.
It was not as active as what had been predicted.
I got
That's what I'm saying. It's a little sleepier.
I got you.
But now, we're up. We've got our morning routine done. If you think of the market that way, like it woke up, it went and got some sunshine in its eyes. It grounded for a few minutes, did its morning stretches. It's got a cup of coffee in its hand now, and we're starting to see an uptick for sure. We're in a very healthy market, and we're very lucky that way, which is a perfect segue into our lifestyle piece that I want to talk about. And we're going to tell you a little bit about our weekend that we had. Spectacular,
by the way. Best vacation I've ever taken.
And why we were able to have it and how you can do it too, right?
Okay.
I want to kind of dive into that. I didn't put anything on social media about our trip because I'm so conflicted about social media. I know I should be on it every day. I should make some kind of post of some nature every day, right?
Right.
I know that. And at the same time, I'm so private and so do not want to be judged that it's a fight back and forth for me, right? But either way, I think we can all agree the majority of what is on social media is either, I mean, for most people, it is the highlight reel of their life.
Sure.
Right? I'm probably more transparent about, the suck of life on social media than most, because I kind of try to share the whole picture at times. But it's not lost on me that we have the life we have I feel like this life was built brick by brick on our choices, coupled with our clients.
Okay.
It's not possible without our clients.
Right.
And you often call them customers. I call them clients because when I was brand new in real estate, my real estate mentor, Joe Mullins, who I talk about often, bless him. He just had a birthday, by the way. So happy birthday, Joe. Everything I know about real estate is because of Joe Mullins, and I'm very, very grateful for it. But,
I love that.
But he taught me, he said, McDonald's has customers, we have clients.
Well,
and boy, that stuck with me. But having said that, it is because of you that I get to have the most beautiful life that I have. And I am overwhelmed with gratitude. I have been this way all weekend, today especially. I am just so, so grateful for every friend, family member, customer, client that we have had, do have, and will have in the future. Taking that and coupling it with just choices that we make. We prioritize activity. We prioritize nature. We prioritize travel and family.
Right.
And so taking all of that, putting it together, we kind of at the last minute last week on Tuesday, maybe, I don't know, I forget, booked flights to go to California to celebrate our granddaughter's 2nd birthday.
And that was awesome. Okay, first thing I want to say about the trip, very first thing.
Okay.
I want to thank the Port of Pasco. My buddy Randy Hayden, who was the executive director forever, they have worked with the airport in Pasco for years and years and years to improve the service at the airport. And the thing they've added in the last couple of years is a direct flight to San Francisco from Pasco, PSC, in the airport world.
Right, to SFO.
I got to tell you, getting up at 4:30 in the morning and getting on a plane at 5:50 in the morning and being in San Francisco without any other stops at 8:20 is straight magic.
Yeah.
Straight magic. I don't understand it. It's like the wizarding world of Harry Potter with aerospace. It was spectacular to roll out of bed and be looking at the Golden Gate Bridge before 9 a.m. that same day.
Yeah, it was
without
cool.
having to fly to another major city and jump on a different plane and have a layover. I got to go directly from Pasco to San Francisco with no other stops. And I got to tell you, thank you, Pasco Airport and Port of Pasco, for working together to make that happen and attracting more flights. It was spectacular.
Yeah.
I also want to thank the Port of Pasco for adding more parking at the airport because it was stacked up and we still parked right by the door.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
So that was awesome. So that's how we started our trip.
And I worked every day. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, we can decide on a Monday to leave on Thursday, and we still worked every day that we were, I don't know if you did. I did. I worked. I talked with clients every day. I solved problems. I talked with sellers for upcoming listings. I talked with buyers and sellers that are closing this month. I talked with lenders. I still was doing all the things that I do.
Oh, yeah.
But just a little bit of it, like just what was necessary, right? My clients can still get a hold of me that quick.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
Even when I'm traveling. And some people say, like, well, you need to fully unplug. I got an email from a realtor last week, in fact, and she said I had emailed her a week prior and hadn't heard back. And so I emailed again. I was like, hey, you know? And she said, "Oh, sorry, I was on vacation last week." And
I don't even understand those words.
I want to just say this. I think it's perfectly fine. And God bless the people who can do that. They can fully. I talked to someone in title and escrow this morning. Same thing. Oh, I was on vacation. I don't want to say where. I don't want to give away anybody. But, for a week and a half. And so let me get right on that. Okay. I love that people can do that. God bless. I can't.
No.
I cannot.
Work-life balance, I don't know what that means.
I cannot. Well, that is my work-life balance.
Well, right. But see,
I work a little bit. I play a little bit.
There's zero unplugging. I was going crazy because I paid for the expensive Wi-Fi on the cruise that we took last month and couldn't do work from the expensive Wi-Fi.
So that was not this experience.
No.
But so on top of being able to just kind of work a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit.
Love that.
We got to see our daughter and son-in-law, and most importantly, that little 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Our granddaughter. And she's spectacular. She is.
I mean, she's the best.
And has me wrapped around her tiny, tiny little finger.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So do the kids. They all do. You're just that guy.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Sentimental.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we took our disc golf bag.
We sure did.
And we played every day.
Every single day. The
every
day
we
got there, by 10:30 in the morning, we were playing in Livermore, California. Because what we did was we landed in San Francisco and started heading toward Modesto. And cleverly, secretly, Londa's on her phone looking for restaurants near disc golf courses. So we get there. We go to a restaurant called The Brick and The Brick Cafe. Mm-hmm. And this is the restaurant review no one asked for.
Hit it.
The Brick Cafe in Livermore, California is spectacular for breakfast.
Yes.
They are.
Well, that's what we had, so we don't know how their other stuff is.
That's right. But they have the highest rating in Livermore, and if you are part of the I think it's James Livermore National Laboratory is there in town. Mm-hmm. And so if you work there, similar to PNNL, I think, if you work there, then you know The Brick in Livermore, California, because that is the breakfast spot. In fact, BJ at my office at Red Mountain Mortgage, his sister lives in Livermore.
Shut your mouth.
That's right. He told me that this morning.
This is why I always say you can't sneak around.
Yeah, you can't.
Don't be sneaking around in your life because you will get found out. You never know where somebody is. Where, I always think about that time that we were in Austin, Texas.
Uh-huh. And just Lance Kenmore, the elevator opens, Lance Kenmore and his entire family are on the elevator.
Yep, which is a guy from our town.
That's exactly right.
Know. And if you do know, hey, Lance, what's up? Shout out to the Kenmore team.
They were taking their kid down to Baylor, I think.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but I think that's what it was. So they were staying at our timeshare. Same thing. They must have a timeshare. That just occurred to me.
So anyway, we played disc golf, and we went to see the kids and helped get ready for the birthday party, the O'Toodles birthday party. It was Mickey Mouse theme. It was very cute.
I just want to say that Thursday to me was a perfect day. We woke up early.
Okay.
We spent a little time talking and planning our day. We got ready to go, got out the door in plenty of time to get to the airport.
If you heard our last airport story,
scary.
You know that I for sure was early to the airport time.
That's right.
I mean, early. We got a cup of coffee after we got through TSA. We got a cup of coffee. We sat and drank it leisurely, no anxiety. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then.
So then we went to breakfast at the Brick Cafe in Livermore. That was beautiful, and exactly 2.1 miles from that restaurant was that community's disc golf course. So we went. Beautiful 82-degree sunny weather.
It was gorgeous.
And on a Thursday, and played a round of disc golf. I think we played the front 10 holes. So they had 10, and then they had another set of holes that were in a different direction, which we did not explore. But because we wanted to be kind of quick. So we were moving right along.
I said, let's play shorter games so we can go to visit more courses.
Right.
Was kind of my
That's exactly right. So
plan.
We played that. It was lovely. We both played, so I was thrilled that you played too.
Yeah.
And then we got on the road, got to our hotel way before check-in time, because check-in time's at like 3. And, we were just down the road, so we got to our hotel. They're like, oh, sure, you can check in. Do you want to be on the 2nd floor or the 3rd floor? So we took the penthouse, the 3rd floor. And
the penthouse. It
was a La Quinta.
La Quinta.
Okay?
It wasn't the penthouse, but it was a very nice hotel.
It was clean and smelled like bleach, so I was happy with that.
Went and met up with the family.
And had the 2-year-old's birthday party, which was a lovely time. We got to see all of Samuel's family because they were there. We were representing this side of the family. Yeah. And I love all those people. So that was a lot of fun and very relaxed and nice.
Hung out later. And then we went back to the hotel.
And slept beautifully. So it was clean. Everybody had a lovely time.
And it was your perfect day.
Perfect day. Beautiful.
And the whole weekend, by the way, that was Thursday, then Friday, Saturday. Repeat.
And here's the deal.
Repeat.
That was our only time commitment. So we had no programming for
Friday
the next
and Saturday.
3 days. Mm-hmm. So we were able to do whatever we wanted to do, whenever we wanted to do it, and it was spectacular.
Played disc golf again.
We played disc golf every single day of the week.
Introduced Sam and Andrea to disc golf. Samuel's birthday is a little later this month. So then Andrea decided, let's get him disc golf stuff.
So we did that.
So we got him all set up with disc golf stuff. And I got a text from her last night. They went out and played last night. And she said, okay, this is why we love disc golf so much. One of the reasons. I'm going to tell you right now. If you're like, I'm tired of hearing about disc golf, you better listen to a different podcast because we're probably going to mention it. Here's what it is. It's like going for a really nice walk in nature, but less boring than just going for a walk.
Because you're getting some exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun.
Then yesterday, we get up, we go to breakfast with our daughter and our granddaughter. And then...
I got up and went and played disc golf with Sam before he had work.
Yeah. But then we ran around with them for a while, came back, we got in the pool. We all put our feet in her kiddie pool while she played in the kiddie pool. Got on the road to San Francisco because our flight was in the evening.
Right.
We get on the road to San Francisco and I say, hey, I think we have time to make a quick stop at the Golden Gate Park disc golf course.
Yes.
So we did.
And it was awesome. And I'll say this, it's a little distasteful. I peed in the woods and didn't feel bad about it.
I felt terrible, and I apologize to all of Golden Gate Park. But it was a 2-hour drive, and I had a coffee, and I didn't know where any of the bathrooms were. And I literally, it felt like you slowed the car. I tucked and rolled out, walked up a path about 30 feet, and thought, nope, it's coming, and I can't stop it. Darted off into the woods. Thank goodness it's very heavily wooded. Mm-hmm. And I'll just be honest, peed in the woods.
I did too, and I thought it was great. Here's the best part, though. It was so urgent for you. I just said, that's it. I'm stopping right now. Go find a restroom. And as you got out of the car, the person in front of me drove away, and I pulled into their spot.
Which is a miracle. If you've never been to this park, it's huge, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
So, but it's gorgeous. We threw a few holes. We peed in the park. I had a big hard fall because I tripped over a log and tried to kill myself. I'm fine.
I was so scared when you fell.
It was pretty gnarly fall, but we, and then, jumped back in the car. We got to see Alcatraz from a distance and took off back to the airport and breezed through. We even had time for a nice dinner at the airport. Well, as nice as airport dinner can be, but
it was super nice. It was $165 is how much that dinner was. So it better be awesome. It wasn't
that
awesome.
Was crazy.
It was expensive.
We usually don't.
It was just okay.
Yeah, I would rather not eat at the airport, and I probably wouldn't have, except because I had that fall was honestly pretty traumatic, you know, very stressful. And so I had to have some food. I was like, oh my God, I have to have some food because I had the adrenaline rush. If you have ever had adrenaline, you know, you have the adrenaline rush, and then 2 to 4 hours later, you get the crash where you're like, I just need to have a snack and go to sleep.
And so we had some cocktails and food.
I did have a cocktail.
And it was delightful. Delightful.
All right. Now, how can you, if you're listening to this podcast, how can you design your own life? Maybe you don't want it to look like ours. You obviously want it to look like yours. But how do you do that? How did we get to the point where we are able to do what we did? I said some of it is obviously because of our wonderful, beautiful clients and customers that we have, and I'm so grateful for them, past, present, and future. And some of it is just the choices we make. Right?
We live pretty lean.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the number one key that I want to share is we decided not long after we got married that we would make our daily lives pretty small. And what I mean by that is we reduced our expenses significantly. We don't live extravagantly in our daily lives so that we can prioritize that kind of thing.
Sure.
You know?
If you have no, say, revolving credit debt, you don't have to earmark $800 to go toward 3 credit cards. You can earmark that $800 to buy 2 plane tickets at a moment's notice and fly down to San Francisco to see family if you want to. So that's the real trick. We don't use credit that we then carry. So what I mean is I have a credit card. I use that credit card for business expenses and for car rentals. And that is it.
Yep.
And the minute that stuff hits my account, I pay it that day. There's no chance that I'm going to carry debt, right?
The debt that we do have, funny enough, because we do have a little bit of debt. It's not credit card debt, but the debt we do have is what we use to prioritize our travel.
Right. And it's installment debt.
Yeah.
Right?
It's our timeshare and our RV.
Right. That's exactly right.
And some people would say those are stupid debts. Well, maybe, okay, for your goals, but my goal is to travel and be in nature and be able to do the things that I want to do. And so for me, that's worth it. I'd rather have that.
And good news, an RV can be considered a second home and can be a tax break. The interest you pay on an RV can be tax deducted as a second home. So for anybody who's telling us that we are frivolous or extravagant, we are neither frivolous nor extravagant.
Right.
But yes, we have a nice RV and we do have a timeshare. I had nothing to do with the timeshare, but I sure do enjoy using it.
Now, how did we get to the place where we were able to do this? Well, we worked our asses off to get to this place. And it really only took us about 6 months of buckling down really hard to get ourselves into the position where we could have a lot of freedom with our time.
Right.
You know, and we make investments in things that allow us to do more of what we love to do. And you can do the same thing. I promise you can do the same thing. You just have to take a good long look at what do I want my life to look like? What are my priorities?
Sure.
How can I get there? And when you are thinking to yourself like, oh, there's no way to do that. Well, what if there were? Ask yourself, if there was a way to do this, what might that look like?
Right.
Is a great coaching question that I've asked people, but it's a good question to ask yourself. If there was a solution to this, what could it look like?
Well,
you know?
Yeah. And
then double down and make it happen. You will never regret it.
I decided probably 15 years ago that revolving debt was something I was no longer going to have.
Yeah.
And I paid off all the revolving debt that I had in my life and said to my then spouse, okay, here's the deal. If we can't pay cash, we cannot have it. And she was like, Okay. So that was step one for me, right? Get out of revolving debt.
Yeah.
If there's something you see and you've got to have it right now, make a plan to save for it. That is advice that if somebody said to me, I'm not going to get the new Nintendo Switch because it's $600 and that's just too much. Great. So here's the deal. Don't ever use a credit card to buy that Nintendo Switch if you do buy one, because then it's going to be between 20 and 30% more expensive.
Right.
Because the credit debt is going to be much more expensive. So if you want to buy a Nintendo Switch, simple math, save $100 a month for the next 6 months, then pay cash for that Nintendo Switch. That way, it costs what it costs. It doesn't cost what it costs plus credit card fees.
Right.
Right? That's the simple economics of how to live your life cleanly.
Yeah.
Only use a credit card if you have to rent a car. Why? Because they then will rent you the car with the credit card versus having to put a hold on your money on a debit card.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have the $500 you need to hold for a rental car, right?
It's so true. It's just a matter of deciding what lifestyle you want then figuring out how to have that lifestyle. If you get stuck, reach out to me. I'm great at helping you move forward. I'll give you 10 or 15 minutes of my time and you think, oh, Londa, that's not very much. You can't help me. And bet I'm fast. Okay.
If that's something you're interested in doing, email Londa at SherwoodAustin.com. That's Londa at SherwoodAustin.com.
Sure.
Let's wrap this up.
No,
What's next?
I can't wrap it up. We've got one more thing, and this is the perfect lead in talking about lifestyle to the last thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
And this is a little bit longer podcast, and that's okay. There's podcasts that are 2 hours long. I'm glad you stuck with us this long because holy shit, we're about to get into it.
I forgot all about this. Remember how I said Thursday was a perfect day? You're going to love this. Okay, go. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It wasn't just this incident. I've noticed it in a lot of different places, in a lot of different settings.
Right.
But this is the perfect story to tell for this thing, okay? So I coached families for years.
As the mom coach.
Before real estate, that's what I did. I took my coaching skills. So I've been a coach for, 20 plus years. I don't even know, 22 years now. For a period of time, I focused on family, parent coaching, that kind of thing.
Right.
I quit coaching because kind of the tide turned to in a direction that I just felt like, I don't know if my skill set really applies to this kind of new parenting, right? Like it became really popular to not tell your kid no.
Yeah, that
not
that whole
have boundary,
business is crazy.
not hold the line, that kind of thing. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm the person to help these people anymore. And I just kind of stepped out of it. And thank God, because I got into real estate and it's been great. But this trend that I've noticed of parents who are so deep in their devices, whether it's their phone, their iPad, their whatever it is, it's an electronic device, and they're so deep in it, they have no awareness of their children.
Right.
What are you doing? And you know me, I'm pretty moderate. I try to not lay the hammer down very often anymore. But I'm asking somebody help me understand ignoring your kids because you're so in your device. Your kid on the plane is calling you over and over. Dad, 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 D-A-D, Dad, D-A-D, Dad, 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 Dad. So zoned into the device. AirPods in. You're
with your child, parent.
You have children.
Yeah.
We observed a family. I'm doing it. I'm going there and I'm just going to say what I think. We observed a family from the moment they arrived at the airport until
San Francisco.
After we landed in San Francisco.
That's right. We did.
Huh? That's what I have to say about it. Huh? I don't understand. Mom, super checked out the whole time.
Reading a book.
Yeah, she wasn't on a device.
She was reading a book.
She was reading a book, and you could tell from moment one.
Don't talk to Mom while she's reading.
I think she must have had a talk with those kids in the car. Do not talk to me. Do not call my name. I am invisible.
And she was silent most of that flight. But here's the thing. So the family at the airport, we saw them, and the kids were rambunctious kids. That's
Yeah, I'm all for that.
I'm all for that, too.
I'm fine with it.
We get on the plane, and I thought this was actually a pretty clever parenting device. Mom and daughter were on one side of the aisle. Dad and son were on the other side of the aisle. I thought that was great because it kept the kids separate, but each had a parent.
Sure.
Right there with them, right?
You want to go into the no use of headphones?
Well, you know how crazy I am about people listening to their devices without their headphones in public.
Right.
You know, if you're sitting in your study at home, I don't care. If you're in your wood shop and you want to listen, I actually said that to my buddy Bob, and he's like, no, I wear headphones in there because I wouldn't hear over the saw.
Yeah. So I'm really glad, though, for flight attendants who now just will come up to the parent and say, you've got to have the volume off or headphones to be able to listen.
Well, right. Thank God, because that kid was listening to whatever that thing was on his iPad.
Full volume. Full
volume, like everybody on the plane wants to be a part of it.
I'm not void of compassion. The parents said to the flight attendant, do you have any? Because we forgot them at home. I had an extra set that they give you on the airplane, you know.
And through the seat, your arm went right through the seat, and you handed it to the kid. And
I said, I have one, because the flight attendant was like, no, we don't have any. I said, I've got one right here. You can have it, you know. So thank God.
Yeah.
But then, as the flight went on, for some reason,
about half an hour out from landing, the kids got squirrely. So maybe the dad got squirrely. I don't know. And I didn't witness
Dad and daughter switched places.
Yeah, dad and daughter switched places. So now the two kids are together, and now they are fully unchaperoned because the father is now across the aisle with his headphones in, listening to his program or whatever he's watching, and the mother's reading her book, and the kids are having natural fun play like you'd have at a park, not in an enclosed tube flying 700 miles an hour through the sky.
I want to be super clear on this. I don't blame those kids at all.
Well, no, it's
not even a little bit. They 100%. Were being very normal kids.
They were
curious, rambunctious, and I love that. Right? I love that about children. I really do. The more precocious a kid, the more I kind of like them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I don't want the disruption that's happening in front of me, and the parents are right there saying nothing. I mean, it was crazy. I had in my noise-canceling headphones and could still hear them doing their thing.
So if you're,
I was more attentive to those children than their parents, and I was behind them.
Yeah, for those of you listening, whether you can kind of identify with what we're saying or not, or you disagree or you agree, here's the thing I want you to think about. What do you think the outcome of that is going to be? If you're a parent who's on your device or distracted from your kids, what do you think the outcome of that is going to be? That's a really honest question. If you're constantly kind of ignoring the basic needs of your kids, what do you think the outcome of that is going to be? You got to ask yourself, follow that out, what's going to happen.
Right.
And I don't know how a kid who's raised like that becomes successful in life.
Okay.
I don't know how, and I don't know.
I'm amazed that those two kids didn't hurt one another because they were very physical and loud about it. And it was
go ahead.
Shot. One punch, one kick. And they're like hitting each other and kicking each other while they're yelling.
Yeah.
On the plane.
Yeah.
And their parents not phased one iota.
Didn't even look over one time. And they're and we were now by this time we've landed, but we had to wait the
older brother
for probably
said,
10 minutes.
Okay, now I'm going to crack your neck. Are you ready? Lean your head forward. And then he grabbed her by her hair and cracked her neck.
He put
one hand behind her head,
one hand on her forehead, and one hand on her ponytail.
It was absolutely shocking, and I was scared for that kid. I was, and I'm not a parent. I'm not her parent. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it on a plane.
I've never seen anything like it, period.
Although we got a great story to tell about it because it was insane. So that did add to the tapestry of my perfect Thursday because I thought it was really outrageous. It was outrageous. It was as though we were watching a performance piece,
right,
and not living real life.
So you might say, well, but those parents needed a break. Well, then they shouldn't have had kids.
Okay, that's aggressive.
It is aggressive. It's how I feel. And you know me. I am almost always pretty moderate in my opinions. This is something, though, that I feel to the absolute core of my soul. If you choose to have a kid,
you choose to parent that kid.
You choose to have a lifelong responsibility.
Okay.
In one way or another.
I do not disagree.
Jesus.
It was nuts.
They deserve to be seen and heard and noticed and cared for and parented and taught and trained and appreciated. They are human beings, and you don't want them to grow up starving for appropriate attention.
I think that's great. I think that's exactly where we need to end this episode. I absolutely agree. And that's why I love being with you, because you are an attentive, wonderful, generous, kind mother. Just like you're a wonderful, kind, attentive, generous, kind real estate person and business person. You're caring and loving and good, and that's why I love to do this life with you.
Thank you. It's a good life, and I want other people to feel the same way.
Yeah.
So share this podcast with someone that you love, someone that you care about, that you think will benefit from a few tips and tricks on how to live your best life.
And if you were one of those parents of those two kids on that plane, I hope you hear this, and I hope it makes you look at stuff differently.
Those little children, they deserve more.
They do. For Londa, Joanne, Sherwood, Austin, my name's David Austin, and this has been another edition of The Session with Londa and David. We'll see you again next week.